In a world where two short-term rental bros come together.
What?
Not in that way, bro. There is a podcast of truly epic proportions where we talk about all things short-term rental and shoot the shit along the way. Welcome to the Co-Host Bros Podcast. Here are your hosts, Matt Codd and Austin Spitz.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Co-Host Bros. My name is Matt Codd and I'm here with Austin Spitz. Today we have a special guest, Talia Lockard.
Hello.
She has done all kinds of crazy stuff. She's worked for HomeAway, StayFi, and rental arbitrage. Currently works for Hosteeva. She has her own OTA she's trying to launch. She's all about booking direct. She's done more things than I could even count in the bio. She sent me is so long that I'm going to let you guys talk about it, where she's going to tell you all about everything that she does. I just want to welcome you, Talia. How's everything going today?
Everything's great today. Happy Monday. How's everything going on the other side of Houston?
It's Monday. All right. Well, weather's nice. The weather's nice today in comparison to yesterday. And Thursday,
yeah.
I was stuck in Salt Lake for 6 hours. Thank you to the weather. So that was fun.
You gotta love travel delays, right? And I also love when we start something off talking about the weather.
Yeah. How's the weather? Like it's general. Yeah. Weather and baseball. Yeah, weather and baseball.
I once listened to, I think it was like Elizabeth Gilbert speak, the author of Eat, Pray, Love at one of the conferences. And she said that, she challenged herself for a year, instead of asking someone about the weather, asking them, what makes you happy today? And she's like, I went inside of cabs and everything and people looked at me like I was crazy. So let me ask you guys, what excites you today? What's exciting you today?
Go for it, Austin. I'll let you go first.
Well, I know Matt's on the same journey as me, so we both started. We have to put this out publicly so we can be held accountable, but we're both going through 75 hard. So I think what's exciting to me is my second time going through it. So I just got after my second workout for the day. So what's making me happy, to answer your question, is getting back to the 75 hard routine. So that's for me. I don't know about you, Matt. What's up?
What day are you on? We didn't talk about that.
I think it's like 4, so it's way.
Okay, I'm on day 4 too. So we're perfect.
Nice.
We're gonna end at the exact same time, as long as I don't drink a beer. That's the hardest part, right? So last time I went 30 days and I drank a beer. Yeah. So I'm a little behind today. I'm drinking all my water.
Can you drink like a non-alcoholic beer to mind?
I guess. I guess you could. Yeah. They taste like shit though. So then what's the purpose, right?
I'm all about solutions, guys. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. So I've done one workout today, and I'll do one later today. Yeah. So I'm glad we're on the same day. We haven't even discussed that, and it's kind of funny we came to that on the podcast. But shows how much we talk, people. We don't even know each other. We just talk on here.
Yeah, the thing that's funny to me about the 75 hard is like everybody has a different vice on that list that's harder. Like for some people, the diet's really hard. Like for me, that's not hard. The 2 workouts for some people, that's really hard. That's not hard. But like Matt said, the thing that's the most difficult for me is, potentially being at a social event or wanting to drink a beer or multiple beers. So the times that I failed 75 hard, same as Matt, I caved to alcohol, where some people would be like, dude, I don't even drink anyways. Like that's the easiest one to avoid, but it's the reading 10 pages is the hardest thing for me. So when you talk to people about it, it's so funny because everybody has a different vice on that list that they're like, they can't get done. And like Matt said, it's the alcohol for me.
Yeah, water, book, and booze, man. That's the toughest thing. It's hard to drink. Gallon of water is a lot of freaking water, dude. I start the day with 3 bottles just so it's like I already got a head start. Okay, I got all day to drink 5 more bottles to get to my gallon of water.
Y'all are making me. Yeah, that's a lot of water.
Yeah, you should sign up. We'll send you the link.
Oh gosh, my 75 hard is called 2 toddlers under the age of 4 that are boys, and I think it's called Forever Hard. But I've lost like 30 pounds in like 3 months. I look better than ever. And all I have to do is just, eat the leftover chicken nuggets, carry the large children, and that's it.
There you go.
That
just
sounds
toss it
harder.
around. It sounds like just striving more.
Follow
of your
me for more
sure.
mom workout tips.
Yeah. One on one hip, one on the other, left, right. There you go.
Yep. I try to remind myself when I'm walking with him, I'm like, hold the abs in, like, this is your time. Like, I mean, make it worth it.
Yeah, you're more patient than I am because my kid was 4. I was like, you walk. He's like, I don't want to. I don't care. Walk. Not doing it. So you just came back from the Vermas, huh?
Yeah, so I was at the VRBO Spring Forum, which was in New Orleans. So New Orleans is where Hosteeva's main office is, and like we are more in like multifamily in our when it comes to a couple of our operations, but we have full service there. So our main office, it made sense to go to it, and Spring Forum is usually a smaller event. So I decided not to actually have a booth at this one. So I actually was like maybe my second time in 10 years ever attending a VRBO as an attendee and as technically a property manager this time.
That's what I thought. I thought you went as a guest, like as a participant, not a vendor.
Yeah. So no booth or anything like that. So, right. So just walked around, let everybody pitch me, sat in some, had some goals, sat in some different speeches, things that I wanted to see. I didn't get to see as much as I wanted to because, walking through the vendor hall, it's like going to a high school reunion for me. I mean, like I said, I've been doing this for about 12 years, and everyone whose vendors that travel together, like it's still the same people, regardless if we're at the same company. So I had some of my coworkers, being like, Talia, tunnel vision. We have tasks we need to hit. But I'm really glad I got to attend that way. I think the ratio was probably way over 50% vendors to managers, which is something common that we see in this industry. But as far as like building the relationships and like fostering, like being able to have like that intimate conversation with people, it was a good conference.
Well, so you've been to like a ton of conferences. So what's your favorite conference?
My favorite conference, man, that's just like such a hard one to answer, right? And so yes, I've been to tons of conferences. And many of them, when I'm saying tons, so VRBO has their large conferences, which are the international ones. And then we have the spring forums that are usually more targeted. They have all the data conferences, so data and revenue management conference. And then we have, different like ones like I think Air DNA, Short Stay Week, other ones. I've never really been to international ones that focus more on data that are out there. And then they have all the property management software focused conferences. So like say Streamline, Track, those conferences. HomeAway used to have a really big one called ResFest. So that was Escapius software. So my favorite conferences to date, I have to say, are those property management software conferences. They focus, it's so focused on the clients, right? And as a software and bringing the vendors in, right? It's all a, just partnership, and it's just a community and building a family. Gotta say, I'm sad today because I'm technically Hosteeva. I'm a property management software. I'm never going to be invited back to a software conference again in my life, so that's cool. So that was fun. But now, as like one that was truly like inspirational, and has, I really think, been a pivotal point in me like becoming a great sales and marketing revenue management expert. Building my own book direct platform and following my passion, like the Vacation Rental Women's Conference, which is also open to men. And, it's been every other year. It's just where I said, I heard Elizabeth Gilbert speak, a really fun one to like where people, whether it was women or men, people break out of their shells in a different way than they do it, where all other conferences are like very flashy, right? It's like, hey, we're selling something. We're here. It's like working in a car dealership, and who's got the shiniest car? Come smell the leather. Let's turn it on. Let's go for a test drive. Right. I think the women's conference, and even, it was my first time at Bill Face conference, but, I guess in that one, the vendor to the STR Wealth conference, there's only 40 vendors to 2,000 people. So you couldn't help but be in a conversation of passionate people. It really is an interesting take, but I think that we're seeing a huge turn of things, because I could sit here and tell you as a property manager and as a person how amazing all these conferences have been. But as a vendor, like, has the ROI truly been there? And that's really, really, really hard to see. And the past 5+ years, right, that has been a question that every sales marketing person has asked themselves. So it's just kind of an interesting, different take.
Well, we can find out right now. Austin, how many things did you sign up for at the last conference you went to?
From like the vendor booths and stuff like that?
Yeah. How many things did you purchase?
Nothing. I mean, I have this, I have different goals. When I talk to people about going to conferences, I have different goals. Like, everybody wants to sit there and take all this knowledge and take notes. That's good stuff too. But my main, theory on that is kind of like all the stuff I can find in podcasts. I really don't think there's any secrets. Yes, I should sit down and absorb the knowledge, but my goal going to that conference was really to make 5 new meaningful relationships and meet a total of 30 new people in general to follow up with. So my main thing of going to conferences, like I'm spending all my time in the hallways just because that's my thought process. That's the way I'm good at networking. I like to go that route. So I didn't sign up for anything. Any of the vendors that I went to go talk to is just because I already had a previous relationship with them. And I was just kind of like checking in, saying, hey, saying what's up. But yeah. I don't think we saw you there. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I knew you at that point in time.
I met you guys after, right? And I would be a really bad salesperson and vendor not to kind of say obviously you don't still pitch people, right? But let me tell you something right now. Like if one of you guys came to me one day and said you wanted a property management software and you truly wanted to know my view on all the different ones out there, like I would give it to you. I'm a sit-back salesperson, but after meeting you, after going to a happy hour, after sending that, really getting to know you guys and understanding like what your needs are, right? I'm not going to beat down your door, right? This is, I realize, and I think I even said that at happy hour, like I would rather build it, like if you don't need a new software right now, I'm not going to continue emailing you and putting you in my campaign and, beating that door. Like I'd rather build this relationship and help us all grow together, right? And it's an interesting take, right? But is there an ROI on that?
Well, there is though, because if we know someone who's looking for something, we're going to be like, hey, call her, because I didn't buy shit from the conference either, but the conference before I did,
right.
But
yeah, and what y'all are trying to create, and what I think is awesome, and what I think the huge value of conferences are, is, even if you're not doing that, but if you know somebody and all these people who are starting with their one property, or they're looking for, different kind of things that are out there, what is working for you may not be working for them. So giving them options, right? And also, I'm sure you don't want to sit here all day answering phone calls, be like, yeah, I mean, this is how this works. Like you need to have your own vendor contacts, right? Relationships. So you're like, go do your research, but Talia can help you, or Arthur at StayFi can help you, or this person at this, tie-in at TouchStay. All those different people can help you make those decisions.
Right.
Have you ever bought anything at a conference?
I did. Yeah. A couple, like year before last I did. But most things I don't. However, I do notice a trend with the conferences is that most people who are offering a product or a service, let's just say like StayFi, for instance, they're offering a product. The product's the same price at the conference. There's no kind of special code. No reason, no way for them to track this. And we've had this discussion when it came to your like OTA thing. Like there's no way to track the conversion. So like if for instance I was marketing your thing and you were to give me a special link, even if I made nothing from it, right, you would know every single person that I sent there and you'd be able to track that conversion. But you can't track the conversion because nobody does it. They're just not like, oh, it's the same price, here's what we do. And it's like, well, you might get more people involved by saying, hey, by the way, we do half off for 6 months, whatever the case may be. So like I'm more apt to refer somebody to get them on Hospitable and do it free for 30 days than anywhere else, because they'll just do it, now other people are starting to do free trials, but at one time it was only Hospitable doing free trials. So
it's so funny that you say that, right? About free trials. Oh my God, I could tell you. So I mean, I worked at HomeAway, I worked at Rented, which we did lease arbitrage. We built a pricing tool, right? And then StayFi, which, let's go those main ones right there. Both of those places, we sat there for years and years and years selling like 30, 90-day free trials. Never would convert. Never, right? Sometimes we would get more signups, but then I'm going to talk about something, accountability, that you guys would say we're paying for your mastermind group. Nobody to pay for anything in the beginning, so we would never get any signups or anyone going on anything, right? As soon as you put, and this is something I battle with right now, As soon as you put some kind of onboarding fee and some kind of dotted line, something, people start to make a change. So at StayFi, what we had found, which I think Arthur still has this today, and if he doesn't, I'm sure he'd honor it for some people. He has today, you sign up for 3 months and you get 50% off your first 3 months. So much better, right? I think it's a great idea. And I think that the reason that it's not done in conferences is, like you said, it's a way to track. Conversion's everything, man, right? I mean, conversion's the way you list in OTAs and websites on Google, no matter what kind of service you have. Conversion is there. And like you said, I've built years ago, and it's been a few years now, I've built a book direct website called Here Stays to help book direct owners, with marketing build like the pass through, like VRBO back in the day. Worked at VRBO 2012, right? You kind of pay to play where you're going to be at, and the guest goes to you. We can see the inquiries, we see which areas are doing well and the managers, right? But right now, do we truly know what's converting without picking up a phone and talking to somebody? And it's not the tech. The tech didn't grow as fast as we would have liked it, but that's where we're right now, just figuring it out. Like connecting it with a channel manager and maybe making it, what kind of OTA can Airbnb and VRBO not be right now? And I don't think I want my OTA to be that, right? I truly want it to, I want a manager or an owner or a co-host to be able to brand themselves, because that's what matters, right? And right now it's a subscription base, but people are like, oh, I don't want to pay a subscription. I want a percentage. In order to take a percentage, we have to be a part of the payments. So it's even as not even like as someone building an OTA, like I have almost the same kind of journey and struggles into which area who do I need to connect with, what is needed. And like right now we have about 300 listings up and down the Texas Gulf Coast, with property managers and friends that we've tested out with for a few years now, and really debating how can we make it the best, because I think it's just a lot of different ways in tech that it can go. And the hardest thing I'm hearing right now from people is like guest verification. VRBO's down, period. I mean, we could have a whole webinar about that if you wanted to. But, there's, and I think also guest verification, and the other thing is pricing. Because, having the right pricing for the right day, and unfortunately, not, the way that Airbnb and VRBO is set up with a percentage model, the way that it should be is, they're going to suggest the lowest rate because they want people to convert on their website, right? So unless you use something like Price Labs, or like Hosteeva has its own pricing tool, Beyond, Wheelhouse, any of those that are out there, it is a race to the bottom, but you don't know that. But I get why they do it, right? It's money. I mean, they're taking a percentage, right? They're figuring out what works best for them.
Well, I mean, I think Vikas and Evolve do the same thing too.
Well, yeah, I mean, everyone has this. Everyone has a pricing tool that's embedded. I mean,
right.
Actually Rented, the company I worked at, the pricing tool we built, was the co-founder, Cliff Johnson, CTO, Eric Kettenberg from Vacasa. So we basically built a new version of that Vacasa pricing tool. That was then sold to Track.
So we've talked about your website before, and it's just Texas, right?
Right now it's just Texas. I think it'd be a fun idea to be neighboring states. Ironically, we're all from Louisiana. We just live in Texas. And my co-founder, Eric Thibodeau, who is big in safe through VRs, he owns a property management company with 85 properties in Orange Beach and Gulf Shores. So, we obviously don't have enough going on between all of us.
Yeah, I seen Hosteeva all over when I went to Gulf Shores recently. Actually. So we talked about it before. I mean, I don't know. So you only see the inquiries on the site. You don't know if they book or anything. So my question to you is maybe something that's easy to get implemented is something like maybe like a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the manager. Like, hey, did this person book? And 50% of the people will answer it. And then you'll get a good conversion on that. And it'll be cheap and quick to implement, right? So
that's a great idea.
That's maybe just a suggestion. Yeah, I'm full
And
of
that's
them.
what
I'm just
I
kidding.
really want to help people, I just like, and like I said, if it becomes a big thing and I've like, how do we make it donation based? Like just help create a platform that, and I come from a very deep sales background, right? And I think I feel like I'm a self-made marketer and very much have imposter syndrome when people like, you're so good at marketing, but I'm loving being able to get into marketing, like tag campaigns and properties and all this stuff in Meta, get people to come and actually go down a funnel and like go and do all those things. So I think with the amount of inventory and the right reach and the right properties and like the supply, right? Like we could make a pretty good footprint for the STR community. It's like almost I want like, how do we make OTA owned by the community, and we're getting different people who want to be interested, right? I'm one of a few people hands on this, all who have full-time jobs, mind you. All of us, one person works for a property manager with 700 properties. Like we're not like, all this is truly passion project for us on the side. Like people be like, oh, I want to get involved in this. Like maybe it's a fun idea that coined by Matt Codd on Co-Host Bros.
Well, I mean, I told you how to get more people to sign up for it before. We've had that conversation. We'll have to have that
Yes.
conversation again, but we'll do that at a
I
different
figured
time.
that was, whenever, that's at another after 75 hard, when you guys are allowed
Yeah.
to have beers again. Maybe we
Well, I
have
could drink Diet
conversation.
Coke. You could just come You can come the last Wednesday of this month to the
Cheers.
meetup, and I'll drink Diet Coke or
How do
water.
we
I don't
all
know.
keep each other accountable at the last meetup that we only drink Diet Coke and water?
Okay. I'll see you.
And I'll come.
See you on the 20 whatever day. I don't know about Austin. He's in New Braunfels, but I told him he could stay at my house. So
Oh yeah,
I
I
mean,
forgot you're in New Braunfels.
if he decides he wants to be a man and come on the 29th, then he can. It's up to Austin. I like to put him on the spot on the podcast. It's really fun. He turns real red.
No, I don't get embarrassed at all. I don't give a shit. I'll meet you guys up and we'll slam some Diet Cokes, even though that's not my drink of choice, but I'm down with it. But I was
Whatever you
going to
need.
ask this. Yeah, I was going to ask. So we kind of went down this rabbit hole, but I'd like to back up. And the original question we should have started with was like, tell us a little bit about Hosteeva. Like, what is it? Give us a 30,000 foot view and kind of what it is that you guys do for our listeners, and what is your ideal avatar? Who are you looking to serve? Tell us about it.
Yeah, totally. So Hosteeva, we are a large property manager, and I would say a full service property manager, right? We do everything from A to Z. That started about 10 years ago. In 2014, our first 6 properties. We now have 4,000 properties plus to date. And I would say about half of those are traditional property management and half are co-hosting, right? So then we do everything other than cleaning and maintenance, right? And the way that we are able to do that is in 2014, we built our own custom software. So when we listed our first 6 properties on Airbnb, we decided, oh, this would be better if we had our own channel manager. It was built by our internal teams. So we now have a software today that, our software that lists on 85 plus websites, has a pricing tool, and, unified inbox, anything that you can think of truly built into one software, servicing whoever. So whether or not you are a owner or manager who you want to do everything yourself, or you're somebody who needs some guest services, a little bit of help co-hosting, or you're in one of our 6 markets where we do full service, which is only 6 markets, but growing, we truly, feel like we could have an option or allow flexibility for you. And our avatar, perfect client. Oh man, that's just like, I ask myself that every single day, who our perfect client is. So if we are talking about managed, which is full service, right? So that's a homeowner, right? Homeowner who has a property, an investment property, and maybe this is a one single family home, or this is a building in New Orleans that has 50 units, and you want to make the most money with the most revenue with a property manager who's going to treat your property like it's their own, right? That's managed. Hosted, co-host, right? You have a property and you have somebody to take care of the cleaning and maintenance, but you just don't like the technology stuff.
Anywhere between somebody that's a new homeowner looking to do this, or a struggling listing, anybody that needs management help, or anywhere in between, basically. Kind of the same thing that we're doing, just at essentially a smaller level.
Right. And even so, exactly. And even to a point where we have a lot of, so let's just say like we have a client in Myrtle Beach that she recently came to us and she has 90 properties and 10 of them she owns. I think about 30 of them, she traditional managed, so full service management of probably like 30%, right? Everything up to cleaning. And all the others are 10% co-hosting, right? So her being on our software gives her the ability to connect to multiple Airbnbs, segmented in different ways. She has different like control, like for like her users. So it's like almost building a custom software instance for her. But then like if in 6 months she's like, you know what? I don't have a guest services team. Can you answer my phone calls? We could.
Oh, you guys have a phone. Sorry, Austin. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was just surprised you guys have a dedicated phone line for guests to call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So since we have our full service management, our co-founders are from Armenia. So we have a call center in Armenia that is there with about 60 plus people. And then we have a dev center as well, too. That's like 60 more people for the tech side. But they are 24/7 guest services. So they answer for Hosteeva, right? But any of our white label clients, so like hosted. So for instance, if you were, Mexico 5-star hotels, right? We have hotels there. If it's calling their line, then it's being answered of that company, right? So it's almost like having the virtual assistant connection is where they're there too. So we do a lot. Can be confusing, but it's also just it's kind of like build what you want. There's a software, there's extra if you need it.
So the way that I'm understanding it is like everything is kind of like an a la carte service, if you will. So if there's certain features that you want in a management software, you can kind of select that, and then it goes all the way up to like full service management. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Well, so like today, so like there's the three, right? If you're going for the software, right, where it's being sold as an all-in-one platform, right? Like you pay, onboarding, no onboarding fees, $30 a listing, and you get everything that's involved in here, right? And that's, we have all these different features, and then integrations that you want to do with other people. Right now, it's it's not brand new. The software being sold just as a platform, right? It's in its infancy. Where we were until recently, and this is where multiple people, that's the co-hosting. So hosted, right? And so that's where we're doing everything other than cleaning and maintenance. So, I mean, they're sending us the photos, we're listing it and everything, right? Now we're doing the calls, we're doing the revenue management, the pricing. They have a dashboard to see everything and they work with our teams. But we're just not the on the ground person.
So owners would be responsible for doing the just managing cleaners and maintenance. That's it, right? So that just falls into their duties. Okay, gotcha.
And they can use our software to do that, right? So like our software has a housekeeping and maintenance platform and like a frontline app that they could use essentially to still manage their owners. I mean, their housekeepers, you get what I'm saying? But yes.
So it seems like it's more management intensive where you guys provide more services, because I don't want to compare you to another company, but I think of Evolve where they basically just do all the marketing for you, and you're it's almost like you're a property manager. They're not a property management service. You're doing all the work on their end, but it seems like you guys take it one step further to where you offer, more services, the marketing, the customer service, the, everything outside of just basically the maintenance.
Exactly. Yeah, I would say it's, and I know Evolve very well, actually. Fun fact, at HomeAway, I was their account manager for quite some time. I knew some of the guys over there. So it'd be comparable. Our hosted service, right, which is our mid one, that's comparable to Evolve, right? I think, we are more known in multifamily, right? So we have more like large condo buildings, whether it's 8 units or it's 100 units in that, rather than single family homes. But we're now getting a little bit more into that area.
So what markets do you guys have that are full service?
Our full service markets are most notably New Orleans. So New Orleans, and I would say we have we competition with people like Sonder, used to be Domio, Stay Off Romy, where we don't do lease arbitrage, but we do the traditional rev share model. And then we have Orange Beach Gulf Shores area, which goes all the way from Fort Morgan to essentially Destin, but mainly in the Orange Beach Gulf Shores, Myrtle Beach location, Smoky Mountain, so Tennessee in that area. And then we recently just opened our first property. Our first property is in Galveston and Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay. Yeah, you were telling me you guys are moving to Galveston. Yeah.
So, and this is kind of, interesting how this comes, right? So I'm sales and marketing, and I'm mainly focused on like the software and the hosted side of things. Our full service markets, they're well-oiled machines. But, you get lead lists and messaging people, trying to convert them over to hosted, right, in Galveston. And so many people, saying like, hey, like, and I'm not quite sure exactly what these people were doing before, but saying, hey, I'm really looking for a full service property manager when we were trying to offer just hosted. And so after reaching out to 1,000 people in Galveston, right, 30 people saying, I'd like to chat with you about full service. We got our first one live. We have other people there, but, when's the right time and not, and determining which market would be good. The reason we opened Galveston, right? I mean, we saw a good area, but I live in Baytown, which is 45 minutes away. I'm not a property manager, but it's fun to have that ability to be able to open this area. With them, we have hired an area manager who's, now taking on all the sales and the cleaning and all the aspects, and, hope to grow quickly over there. And it's just, now I have a reason to also just go every weekend if I want to.
So your area managers do the cleaning as well?
So in our area, also the area manager we hired is my sister. So my sister has been an Airbnb cleaner, and she was thinking about starting her own business, sold insurance. And so she's just taking, right now we have one property. So, in that area. So one thing that Cliff Johnson, who was one of the co-founders of Vacasa, had said that, one rule of thumb as you're growing is that for every 10 properties, you need one head, right? And if you have that one person who can do all the things, the better off you'll be. So my sister, right? So think for first 10 properties, right now, it is owner relations and cleaning, right? But the goal is as we grow, we can then segment off different areas. But this is kind of more it wasn't like, we're just deciding to kind of randomly do it, not random, but let's try it out. And lucky for us that Hosteeva likes to have family work for us, so it's awesome.
That is awesome. So if you reached out to 100 people and 30 people were interested, I feel like that's in Matt's neck of the woods. I'm trying to see if Matt's going to be interested. Those are some pretty good numbers, Matt. I think you should pivot and pick the market and lock in and give her a run for her money, huh?
And I have to say right now, I don't think it would even be giving me a run for my money. I think there is opportunity in Galveston for 5 new players to be in that area, because every single person we are talking to, and I mean, there is definitely, I can pinpoint to certain areas, and I'm not going to say anything, but I'm getting on the phone with these homeowners and hearing what's going on. And I get it. They can't keep good cleaners. They can't keep good maintenance. So that's, we're bringing someone in house, right? Which made us think co-hosting may be not a good idea there. If you can't trust anyone on the ground, we have to put somebody. But I mean, there's so much opportunity. It's just crazy, because it's to me, Galveston doesn't seem like a backwoods redneck area, but it's kind of feels like it's being treated that way.
All down the Texas Gulf, it's hard to keep cleaners. It's hard to find right contractors. It's hard. It takes diligence and a lot of time. It really does.
Let's do this, man. Let's bring it all in together. I like friendly competition.
If I already owned out there, if I owned out something out there, I would try and build a co-hosting business there for sure. Especially if you're saying that people are struggling, there's opportunities. I mean, the thing about an entrepreneur is you solve problems, right? So if there's problems, you just go in, Matt, go solve them.
You find solutions. And the one thing that I have to say, that one thing I don't know a lot about, that I think you guys would more know as homeowners of actual properties, right? I've owned long-term, but no short-term rentals. Not that I get to see the numbers on. I can tell you that I don't know what's going on with any of that. But is that I have heard the taxes have gone up tremendously in the area, right? And while taxes have gone up, ADR has not, right? So bookings are still where people are getting booked out on weekends and 3 days, but there's, not a lot of stuff having midweek, which we understand. Galveston is a drive-to market. People work around here. We know that, right? But I'm seeing the taxes on some of these properties and talking to these homeowners or being in the Airbnb groups. They're insane. And I wouldn't know what to do. I mean, I have enough with my own actual house in Texas.
You could book midweek in Galveston. So if you want a strategy on how to book midweek, book a call with me. No, I'm just kidding.
There we
No,
go.
you can though. You
That's
can
about
though.
to-
It's challenging. There's a lot of pricing and occupancy moved around to make it work. But
Well, yeah.
I mean, I have the same issues in my market. I have Friday, Saturday is pretty much what it is. But
It's like everywhere, right? I mean, it's very similar right now. And then also, I mean, I think school's about to end. You know, it's going to happen. But I think there's things that I hear every 4 years, right? We're not going to go talk politics, guys, but it is election year. Like every year, people stop spending as much money. Taxes have gone up tremendously, no matter what you're doing, right? So we are seeing still, like, if you look at the data, like in revenue management, or if we're just, random pivot into this, right? Like, we're not, like, STR areas are not doing worse than they were in like 2019, right? We're doing worse than we were doing in 2022, right? So it's just a hard, it's hard transition to figure out, like, if you bought in the past couple of years, what you kind of saw in those first couple of years, what you're seeing now is definitely a very, very large transition.
I mean, to be honest, in those markets too, and I'm just going to say this to help everybody, people underestimate the fact that the market is growing and things are getting built. They underestimate the fact that you need people, but there's different kind of renters, right? So you're saying, like, you got the drive-in markets, which, right, 100% drive-in market, but you forget about the contractors, the nurses, the people that need to come there and do those things. And do stuff in that area.
Distributing everywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you right. I mean, I'll give you a little story. I mean, I have a house on the Gulf Coast. I'm the only person listed on Furnish Finder. I had somebody at my house for 3 months because I was the only person listed. She had no other option to go anywhere else. Yeah. So I made the money and they sat vacant. But I mean, that's what people need to understand. Is like, reach out to contractors, reach out to builders, there's lots of different ways to book a property.
And I think also in some of those areas too, like when you're hearing some of those, like, I mean, we've been seeing, like you said, like furniture, just distribution in general, like be distributed. And I've been seeing, like, I mean, Hosteeva, I think, I looked at it like we're, like 50-something% Airbnb and 22% booking.com. And then I'm hearing people say, like, oh, I'm not on Booking because maybe my channel manager is going to charge me like a percentage to be on Booking. And I'm like, what? Like, go and see figure out all these factors, figure out what can help you distribute everywhere, and just do it so that you get the exposure for everyone.
Oh, yeah. Everywhere you could be. Same thing with the running a Facebook ad. So, I mean, it's the same thing.
And why I'm trying to start an OTA. Like, it's just more exposure, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
If you start an OTA, make sure that the newest update, where every guest on the listing can't be added to the messaging. So please, if you do start one, let's not do that, because that's Airbnb's most recent update. And I've got like bookings of 15 people, and there's like 7 people now attached to the guest messaging. So
you just gave me anxiety.
Fantastic.
Huh? You just gave me anxiety. It's like, I already hate all my group chats. I could not imagine a group chat that was with people like I didn't know.
Yeah, it's like, I'm just waiting for the message. Hey, this is John from Sarah's Booking. I'm in bedroom 3, bunk 2. How do I turn the fan on? It's just like, geez, it's like one point of contact, the person that pays for the booking, the person that's liable, not all these other people that aren't liable. Oh man, they put that in there. And I think the reason they did that was just to get more users on the platform so they can invite people and they can make an Airbnb account.
That's exactly why they did it.
Show me a host that's excited about that. But anyways, that's my little tangent. It has nothing to do with today. But if you do start an OTA, don't add that feature.
Let me know if you want a solution.
I wonder how AI can help you.
What's the solution?
Just text your guests right after they book and tell them the best way to communicate with you is through text, because it's more direct and that you'll be talking to them directly, and more than likely they'll take it off platform anyway. Just explain to them how it's so much easier for them and how more convenient for them that, this is the easiest way to get a hold of me and the most way I can help you, blah, 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 blah. And then let them all sit in the group chat silent.
Yeah, that's true, but there's pros and cons of every side to that. So when you do that, you take it off the platform. Every conversation that happens off the platform, you are not liable. You can't use that as evidence. You can't use it as anything as backup if anything does happen. So you're putting yourself at risk if you do that. Yeah, but that kind of communication can't be used. Like, say something is damaged or something, and you want to go get a damage request. That's not evidence that's refutable because it's through a text message. But to answer your question, it would solve the problem, but I don't know if that's the way I would do it. But
I think if you had their number and it matched Airbnb's number, then I don't think it would be an issue. But
There's some, who knows, right? They get creative.
You probably had that issue before though, and I haven't, so I don't know.
Yeah.
We try to have and I think we'll see more in there, but we do have AI built into our platform that can answer any questions that are in with the listing, right? So that's where things where AI can and can't do, right? So if there's something that's in the listing or past guests have asked, it's stored in there. So if they were liking, hey, if they were asking, where's the extra towels? If there was something that said extra towels, they're like, extra towels could be found in the linen closet. So it's interesting to see it evolve.
That's what Bestie's doing right now.
Yeah.
So
it's
well, and hospitable. Everybody's competing for the AI.
Yeah. And this is what I'm going to say is everyone's competing. We're not competing for anything right now, right? Like Hosteeva built this software for us. We use it for us. It's our custom software. And it's kind of these things that were kind of already evolved in there. And so I saw it first in 2018 and I tried to talk them into selling it then. But that's kind of, we have some team members who consult also for Microsoft's AI pilot, right? Who also build on our development side as well. So it's all kind of been in development at the same time. But it's to make us faster and easier, write descriptions, write headlines, and help us answer messages. It's not meant for anything else but just to make people faster. And hopefully one day, I like what Price Labs is doing with their AI insights. That is fantastic. Have you guys taken a look at that?
I don't think I haven't been in Price Labs in a week since. I've been in Price Labs since actually last Tuesday. Did I miss something? I need to look.
I don't know if it's maybe it was something that's coming up and it's not in there yet, but it's essentially the idea is it'll read the data and say, hey, this is what's going on. Here's some recommendations of things you can do. So instead of having to digest it on your own, which is one of the hardest things about pricing tools, right?
Yeah, normally Tuesdays are my day, so I haven't looked yet. I didn't know they updated it. I'm like, no one said anything.
I time block on Tuesdays and Thursdays are my sales days. That's when, if you're like, hey, getting stuff from Talia somewhere, you're like, she's in sales mode, don't stop her.
So what is is Bestie the one, or who has the platform where you plug in the AI and it basically reads through previous messages from guests, like they have 10 listings. Yeah. So it'll read through how each listing separately, and it'll basically answer questions the way that they've already been answered in messaging history. Is that what that is?
Oh yeah. So ours reads the sentiment of the guest. So it helps you respond to the guest in any kind of situation. Is that kind of what Bestie's doing for you?
Yeah, it does the same thing. And pretty much, mm-hmm. I think at some point it's going to change cover photos and write descriptions under them and things like that. I think it offers orphan nights and the pricing, gives them the price and all that, but it doesn't technically book it once they say yes. But I think that eventually it'll go there, but I'm not sure. I think they're trying to get launched to everybody. So I think they're supposed to go live in OwnerRez in about a week or two. Maybe June.
And that's what we're going to see. I think the future of all, which is things that we saw kind of with channel management over the past 12 years that I've been in this industry, right? Are also software is going to consolidate? No, but you're going to have the options for everything in one, and then you'll choose, right? So you can have Bestie with OwnerRez, but I bet you just like Hosteeva, right? We have our own AI and pricing tool. Doesn't mean that you couldn't also use Price Labs, right? If you like theirs better or something like that. So I think we're going to see every software is going to have a pricing tool. I think we saw that when Track bought Rentage, Streamline has Inhabit. I think HosteAway is probably, and Hosteeva have been talking about, some in the back end. They've got a ton of funding, so you would assume so. Guesty, it's all going to come out and everyone's going to have every feature. It's just determining which feature works for you.
Even AirDNA has it now. Honestly, I think some of the PMS should start buying each other. We have too many. There's too many to choose from.
That's been happening for a long time.
Buy some more.
Guesty bought up a ton of people, and Habit bought up a ton of people, right? That's kind of, we've been seeing consolidation of the PMSs, but that hasn't stopped them from coming out, right? For a long time. And also Streamline, LiveRes, LMP, they're all owned by Inhabit, right? Guesty, some of them just kept their names, but they're all still under the same company. Well, so I worked for Rented, which was in 2018. We started. I left HomeAway, Andrew McConnell and Cliff Johnson, they had raised $135 million fund to go help do rental arbitrage in the industry. Cliff had just left Casa. He was one of the co-founders with Eric Breon. And the ideas was we would go help managers, grow their inventory by helping them, do lease arbitrage. And that's how I met Hosteeva. I helped Hosteeva open like a, few hundred unit building in Miami at Sunny Isles with arbitrage. And at the time, I had no clue what arbitrage was, I have to say. It's just crazy today to like see. And it gives me anxiety, like when people talk about it, just because it was just the data, right? I mean, we used AirDNA for the data, and AirDNA was one of the most terrible sources and still is when it comes to lease arbitrage data, which put us in some binds, right? And so, we luckily pivoted to do revenue management, right? So we were doing lease arbitrage and, looking at the deals. Are they going to perform as rented capital is what it was called? Are we going to make money? And we were like, people I had come from HomeAway, people from Picasso, Stay Alfred, Turnkey, everyone who had done some kind of revenue management, get in, start revenue managing these properties, right? And you're like, just doing like changing pricing, like simple things, right? That you would do on top of, and working in every pricing tool and software. And we saw like 350% increases in revenue. And we're like, well, what are we doing, guys? Like, let's switch to revenue management. Thank God we did, because then COVID happened. Had we not pivoted at that time, like to revenue management, right? Like, and we would have had all those lease arbitrage deals open. That wouldn't have been, very good for that company. But that's where I think it can be done smartly. I think that you really need to know the data. Like, I think you need to see someone who had made the revenue. Don't pull it from AirDNA. You need to have the actual owner give you some bank statements and let you know what they received from it. Because AirDNA can be 25% in either direction on the data that's going to come in. And then also when you factor in, I've been doing some random projections recently, because the market is like, we're having this crazy, like last year we started seeing a lot more supply, not a lot demand. Projections are like astronomically lower just 2 days, like just 2 weeks later. Right. So if you took so it's a very risky thing.
So I think the main thing with that is like when you're very specialized in one market, I don't need AirDNA because my projections, because if I only manage one place, I know what this bedroom count, this bathroom count, this hot tub's going to add. I can tell owners on the phone, like, this is where you need to be as a top performer. You'll be in this category and this will be your number, and I'll be within $5,000. AirDNA, some addresses, and you plug them in and you do this and that. And it's like, where did that number come from? So I'm not saying it's a bad service. I just think if you're hyper localized and you just know your area, you don't need AirDNA. But when you're in multiple markets, yeah, it's a little bit more.
If you know your area exactly, right? You have that's where historical data is so important, right? You for projections, arbitrage, where you're going to be doing any of those things. Historical data, that's like, your bread and butter. AirDNA, it's great data, right? It's not taking out owner holds, maintenance holds, it's not taking out taxes and cleaning fees or anything that's in there. And so it's really kind of difficult, if you're going to get a data source, one that you need to look at is like key data, right? It's source data, right? Now they are bringing, all the data in from all the property management software. So they're actually able to tell you like owner paid occupancy. They're taking out all those things in there. Now with any source, right? Even key data, like the data is only as good as what you can receive. That's why what you can get. That's why AirDNA is so good. They built these scrapers. They're the only people that are really globally pulling every piece of data. Now I've sat, I think it was like every data and revenue management conference, which, again, when I said, a lot of information, really good conference, everyone, there's a revenue management roundtable where people are like, if VRBO, Airbnb, and Expedia, if they would just all talk to each other and share the data, we wouldn't be in this problem. Right? Like, it's out there. It's just, how do you consume it in the right way? And that's what's so important to do your research.
So recently I ran a performer on a property. There's a couple things. So I used STR Insights, but I basically took my listing. I took every listing in STR Insights. I compared the data. So I look at data because of my job. I look at data. So I basically, I'm not going to say where I'm looking because I don't want anyone to know just yet. But anyway, so what I did is basically I took all the like bedroom counts. So I was looking at a 4-4. looked at the 3-4s, the 4-4s, the 5-5s, 5-4s, all those ranges. I took them all, and I took the average of all of them. So most of them performed over 130 or above. There was one that performed 42,000. That one was booked for 52% of the time. I know that data is bad. So I took that data and I filled out my performa. Now here's what's crazy about it, because I wanted to see how close I was. So I went on I was like 26% cash on cash, depending on my loan. It could have been up a couple more points, but so I had recently went to Montana with the guys from one of the guys from STRIQ. I don't know if you met them. So they were at the conference too. They did they had a booth. They're local. They're in Houston. I live over in the Heights. And
it sounds familiar, but
yeah. So I had him pull my property that I was looking at on his platform, and it came up with 21% cash on cash returns. So they weren't too far off. So I was asking them about how they calculate the taxes. We're talking about Texas taxes, right? It wasn't in Texas, but he was showing me a property in Fredericksburg prior to that. And he was like, yeah, it'll take the county tax percentage. So if it knows the tax percentage data, if it knows like where you live, say you live in, I don't know, New Braunfels, where Austin lives, and it's 2.4% tax, it'll know that. It'll say the purchase price is $500,000.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll also have a built-in performa, and it'll be interesting. We're going to try to get them on the show here.
Well, I think that's where it's important, where you guys say like STR Insights or STRIQ, like they're going to take that data and they're giving it to you in a better way, right? So that's finding your people to give you the better data.
I think it is, because I think when I pulled the house on AirDNA, it said 117, which I understand how it got that number, because it took that 45,000 and it put it in there. So that totally took my average from where my average was to way down there. So I understand exactly where they got the data. But if you ever look at a property on an AirDNA and you go, okay, well, one of my expenses on here, the expenses are just so freaking low. You look at a house that's $500,000, it'll say it's $20,000 in expenses a year. Like, really? I'm spending $20,000 on cleaning. You know? So,
yeah.
Like, okay.
So one thing I want to piggyback for our listeners of what Matt said, which is really good, is how he runs a performa. He's using multiple sources: AirDNA, STR Insights, Strike, or STRIQ, however you say it. And I want to make a point to the listeners that are co-hosting: don't just rely on AirDNA as they spit out a number and the property is going to make 120,000. You reach out to the owner. You say, "Hey, your property should be doing around here. How's it going with Picasso? We can do that." Don't do that, because that's a dangerous game you're playing. You're saying that you're going to be able to do things that you're not going to be able to do. So I would just say, as a plug, if you are, really get into the numbers like Matt is saying, and use multiple of these softwares. So if you don't understand your market and you're just getting started, go that route versus just using. I know people that are just like, yeah, AirDNA said this. It's like, okay, I don't want to talk to you anymore. That's it.
You need to average. You need to average. You need to be able to see what the like listings are.
Like a
exactly,
low, average, high, and be like, and even if you could go to a point where they're like, oh, I mean, I would make high. I don't want low. But like, well, does your property look like this, or does it look like this? And I remember that was at VRBO when we at the beginning, it was just like selling listings, right? And then it was optimization. How do we get them to make more revenue? And sometimes it was simple as like, hey, like I'm going to share my screen. Like it was like an eye exam. Choose, does this one look better or does this one look better? And then like choose, like, okay, yours has green carpet and flower, curtains still. And this one is obviously has new bedding. Like sometimes it's just testing and seeing what can you tolerate and setting those expectations.
Yeah, crap in and crap out. That's the problem with data.
Yeah, and if you overshoot promising something and you underdeliver, there's no room for like improvement. So if you start out with the highest number and you don't meet that, you already look bad. Plus, you're shooting yourself in the foot because you told them this number and you're not being able to deliver on that number. So
do not overpromise and underdeliver. Set expectations.
Do it the other way around. They'll call you and say, "Hey, my friend needs your help." Like do it the other way. Oh, under promise and over deliver. Like that's under promise for sure. Like, yeah, I mean, under promise, but make it sound like an over promise.
As I said, don't, do the right thing.
Yeah, you're like, oh, that sounds so good. Oh, $20,000 more, hell yeah, cool. Can I give you my friend's ID number?
So a strategy I like to use is I like to find out what they're making first. So if Vacasa is doing 40,000, I think they should be doing 80,000. I'm going to go for low hanging fruit, knowing that I can probably get around 80,000 and say, hey, you should be at around 60,000 because that's already a win. So that gives me the bar here. Now I can blow it out of the water when I know I'm going to do 80. Plus, you're starting over with new listings. You've got to get momentum going. So a lot of people don't factor that into running their numbers too. It's like how many reviews does that listing already have? Like it takes a while to build up the momentum of a listing. Just because you have great pictures and you put it out there, you still need 5-10 reviews just to get a little bit of momentum going.
Yeah, you need at least 3 reviews in like the first 30 to 60 days really to capture that algorithm. So doing that as quickly as possible. And I would say if you're just getting started, like some tips, like when it comes, like you're saying, like, if you're saying, am I, versus Vacasa or any of the big guys in your area, right? Like go go see the fees that some of these companies have, right? Because it's important if someone's coming up to you or saying, oh, well, you want to charge me 20 something percent. Vacasa is only charging 15%, right? But go look at what, and I don't want to keep saying Vacasa, right? Go look at what maybe that other property manager, because it's otherwhere, what the property manager had, what the fees are, because there could a homeowner gets, like say, that certain percentage off of the nightly rate, right? So if the manager's actually tacking on a whole bunch of fees, they might be making less. Right. And there's studies all over that talk about this, specifically with this manager we just talked about. So it's really good for you to go and just keep an eye, look at that. Right. And be smart. And, it's not a race to the bottom. Like, hey, that's fine. I mean, this is why I charge this. There's no hidden fees. And let me show it to you. Is this what you've been getting? And they're like, oh, shit.
A lot of owners get fixated on a percentage number, and really it's not a percentage number. Like, okay, 15%, but your hot tub clean costs $40, but they charge you $80. So like it's not 15% because like you said, they're making up money on the back end, nickeling and diming here and here and here. And that's where it's like, okay, as me as an operator, how am I going to set up my business to where the structure is more beneficial to the client? What things are worth and need to be upcharged for, and what things are like, hey, we pay the price that you pay.
And you decide, right? How do you want to grow, right? Is it quality, right? Do you care if you do 50 purpose-built trailers on the side of a train track and not care about the experience, right? Or do you want 5 nice, luxury homes that bring in $150K a year, but are going to require a different operation, right? You determine that for yourself, and that's okay.
Well, I think people need to understand that, like, if it was me, I'm going above and beyond. So like if your house is vacant for 3 months because you spent all these 3 months there on vacation, I already know that you're not going to show up on the first page no matter what happens. I'm going to immediately call Austin and say, Austin, I need you to search the listing in this place. I need you to book it for 3 days. I'll Venmo you the money. I'm going to make Austin do a virtual review for 5 stars, and I'm going to eat the cost it's going to cost me in fees, the 3%, because it's going to boost me back up there. Now there's interest again, right, in the property. Yeah. But people don't know that if it sits there for 3 months unoccupied, right, even if it looks occupied, crossed on the calendar, whatever the case may be, that you need something to kind of trigger you in that direction, unless you're running like massive promos all the time and dropping and racing to the bottom, right? So it's like I came off a 3-month hiatus. I had to call somebody and say, hey, dude, I need you to book my property. And I had to Venmo him. Yeah, I was out $50 or whatever the case may be, but it's going to come back to me, because as soon as he leaves the review tomorrow, well, today's Wednesday, then I'll be right. Right now I'm sitting
reviews
at 6 on the first page.
Reviews are so important. Like, I mean, just they really and continuously getting reviews. That was like the number one question we used to get at VRBO all the time. And this is still so. I mean, I left VRBO in 2018, right? So it's still been, that was the beginning of VRBO, like 2012, when the beginning of my time at VRBO was how many reviews can I get and be done? I'm like, you're never done. Like you have to continuously, you have to get them, and that's how important it is for you to go and respond, and just, it's a business of what you're building. And if your business is that you want to use your property 50% of the time and it's only going to be available on these signs, expect that you're not going to be as visible. Like, like that you have to understand that.
Yeah. Do you I know we're running low on time, but do you know anything about the VRBO algorithm? Because nobody in the world knows about it. So what can we do to get us on the front of the VRBO page? You know anything about that?
what's been going on? So, what I feel okay with saying publicly, and these are things that I've read like on areas, right? Like Peter Kern, their CEO, that is walking out, said very publicly that the VRBO integration over to Expedia has not really gone as smoothly as they would like, and that that has made them see a huge dip in their bookings. I mean, I started Hosteeva in August. We had only 14% VRBO. I'm currently at Hosteeva now. We're about 7% VRBO, right? And we're not doing anything different. And I'm in every group where it's going. Every property manager, I have friends that work in every software out there, right? It's happening everywhere. And essentially, I mean, I think there's a couple things. Like one, you cannot search on VRBO without signing in, right? So as a guest, you cannot go do any kind of search without doing some kind of sign in now to one key. And I myself have gone to look in VRBO multiple times, and I get there and I just don't want to do it, so I go to Airbnb. So it's like that's going there, and I think I truly think it's just that I think when it comes to algorithm on VRBO, it's the same thing as Airbnb. Essentially, it's whoever's making more money and has availability and conversion. When I was there, that's what it was. All the normal things like have your extra photos, and you make sure you have your photos tagged to the areas. Go have your captions, and that you're answering response time, right? But I think traffic is just lower right now. Like I think VRBO there's something they need to change and do clearly. And I think it might be that, yeah, whatever. And then Peter Kern had that he's out. They have a new CEO. So, I mean, what exactly is going on? I'm not sure. I mean, but then I see, like, when I read some of the things, I wonder though, and this is my interest, this is just pure speculation. This is me being in a million Facebook groups, right? Is it integrated property managers having the issue, or integrated owners, or the people on the host side having the same issues we're having? That the ones that are just using the platform. Like that's a debate I'm hearing, and I don't know.
Yeah, I think the integration with VRBO is a struggle for everyone. But as for, I guess, the algorithm, where I see the most success, I do see some success on VRBO. There's too many listings on VRBO because there's less demand, at least in my market, where there's listings that are nice listings, but they have 0 reviews and they never got started. So once you get 3, 4, 5 actual reviews, there's so little VRBO listings in my market that have solid good reviews that once you get those going, then the bookings start coming. But there's so many that have no reviews that nobody's willing to take a chance on, and then most people just go on Airbnb, and you can get it that way.
So I would say, like, a couple things, like, go and like put new in your headline. Like even though the VRBO's giving you a little bit of a boost, in there, go put new. Put that 3 times. We have new specials. Like, here are, if you have other properties, like, make sure, like, what other guest say, make sure there's like notated that you've been doing this for a while. I think that's also another thing that I see a lot, and I don't know if I'm going against what maybe some other people say, but I've noticed on Airbnb and VRBO, when it says like who's the host or who is this managed by, oftentimes it says like Talia Lockard rather than Hosteeva, right? And so, like, there's no brand of talent. I will not book with an owner. Unless there's like 50 plus reviews. Like, I mean, like, it's like I have to be some intense things. Like, and usually I reverse search. I reverse search every image, and I try to go book direct and find them on another location. There's sometimes, like, if there's no other options and that's what I have, I'll go through Airbnb. But VRBO, you make sure you're going in there and showing who you are. But I think Airbnb is just, it's funny. I didn't say this earlier. When I started VRBO, or HomeAway is what it was at the time, our sales pitch was written down on a piece of paper, taped to my monitor, said, we are 15 times larger than Airbnb. It was not even like, it was a laughable joke. Like, they were just like, we're salespeople. They're like, oh no, it's just shared spaces. It's just shared spaces. It's just so interesting how different it is now. And I think, no, I'm not saying that. I think there's still a lot of room for them to improve, and I think there's also a lot of room for other OTs to be in the space, right? I think that it also potentially maybe Expedia is just looping them all together. Maybe we're just seeing more consolidation. Like, so many things could happen. Like with it, the moral of that story is like, just keep, do the ones that are working well for you, stay on everything, but prioritize those. Why not?
Yeah. Don't kick us off VRBO. We mean well. We're just goofing.
No,
We're just goofing
I'm gonna
around.
have
We
some.
need we
You're
need
right.
we need our listings on there. Don't worry.
I'm cool. You kick me off. Anyway, we're running out of time. So if you want to tell everybody where they could find you, social media, whatever the case may be, we may have to do a part 2. You still got a lot to go with, but also make sure you shout out your OTA thing and then send me what you want in the show notes so we can get it in there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank y'all so much for your time. So if you want to get a hold of me, I'm on Facebook. I think I'm Lockard. We could put my hashtag. I think on Instagram, I'm at Talia Hosteeva. I'll send you all of it. And then my email is tlockard@hosteeva.com. And my OTA is herestays.com. So maybe I'll get you a little thing so we can have that all together. I'm happy to be on again. Whatever I can do to, sometimes I feel like I have a wealth of knowledge and nothing to do with it. So let's use my brain.
Yeah, and if you're in the Houston area and you want to meet her, she will be at the Brass Tap on Wednesday, the 29th of May. She is truly committed. T-ball league is over. She does not have an option now. She'll be there at 6 p.m. at the Brass Tap Katy Richmond location, 7109 Katy Gaston Road, Richmond, Texas, 77406. So anyway,
we'll be drinking Diet Cokes and water. We will be there. T-ball is the T-ball season that'll never end. We have been rescheduled 3 times. There's a game tomorrow night, and it is. I told my husband, if it doesn't happen, I'm officially not going to go to anymore because my birthday's Thursday and I'm done. For my birthday, I want T-ball to be over.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
What are you showing us, Austin?
Last plug here at 3:13 today. I just got a $2,000 booking from VRBO. So they were listening and I was never talking shit. So that's what it is. That's how it works. Power of the universe there. So
I wasn't talking shit either. Where's my text message?
This is the co-host bros. We don't talk shit. We don't talk shit here, right?
We don't do that. Never. Don't talk.
No. We observe and we talk about it. That's it.
No, we talk shit.
Only notification I get is Amazon orders. God damn it.
It's like, Matt Todd's VRBO has just been deactivated.
Yeah. Thanks. Yes. Just remind him my name. Appreciate that. All right, okay, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Subscribe, like us, follow us, hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Netflix. No, I'm just kidding. We're working on it. But anyway, hit us all up. We really appreciate you all the time. Thank you for listening. Can I get the peace, Austin, I always get from you?
Peace.
Long pause.
The Co-Host Bros Podcast.